Well, good morning to all of you joining me here. Wherever you're joining us from, thank you so much for taking the time to join the Reinvention Saturdays. The time today is always about growth and development. It's about you getting better. It's about you investing in yourself. One of the things that I'm very passionate about is to see that everybody that I see in my world, everyone that I see in life lives up to their greatest potential. I have spoken about this in a past session where I said I hate the word potential because oftentimes people told me you've got great potential, you've got great potential. And I just never saw the results of what that potential was in my life. I was living in a lot of scarcity. I mean, there was just a lot of lack in my life at that time. And I just never understood what people meant by you've got great potential. It's as if that was supposed to make me feel better and know that there's going to be a better day. My life's work is in helping leaders reinvent themselves for impact and income. Reinventing yourself for more impact and more income. And in today's session, I share with you about the three knowings, the three timeless knowings to increase your impact and income for life. These are not ideas that I just read in a book, but this has been my life's journey. I mean, I have lived out this message for the last 10-15 years of my life, really walking through the journey of understanding my brilliance, understanding what it is that I have been gifted with, which is what we're going to talk about today, and then mastering that, bringing it out into the world. And as I bring it out into the world, beginning to position it in places where it is going to bring me the greatest return in terms of income. So I'm not only talking about you impacting the world and having a big impact, but also I'm talking about having an income and being able to finance the big mission that you have. For those of you who are joining for the very first time, my name is Benjamin Kamoye, and I'm glad that you're here with us. So let's get started. Skill is the foundation of all contracts. Skill is the foundation of all contracts. And I love to talk about skill because the turning point in my life was when I decided to go way deep in mastering my brilliance. That was the defining moment. That is when things began to shift for me. Before that, I just knew that I had certain things that were within me. People told me I did them well, and I was walking around the marketplace looking for somebody who would recognize what I have and that they would pay me something just decent to make a living, as I hoped that things were going to get better. Now, that was the biggest mistake that I made at that season of my life, but I didn't know any better. And as I began to learn that my impact and income was significantly a contributor to the life that I was going to have. The moment I learned that my skill was going to change the game for me, the moment I learned that I could get better at what I do, I could deliver more value, I could be more skilled at what I do, the moment I knew that, I began to go down the rabbit hole, understanding who am I, what is my skill. And that's when I uncovered that, hey, look at this. Skill is the foundation of all contracts. And as we begin here today, I'd like us to just kind of unpack a couple of things. The first one is this. What is a knowing? When I say three timeless knowings, a knowing is an awareness about something. An awareness about something. You know in your knower that this is a fact. It's a fact of life. It will never change. And therefore, as you go into life, as you work in the marketplace, as you engage with people, as you make decisions, you have got this knowing at the back of your mind that influences the way you make decisions. Choice is a function of awareness. And so the choices that you make are influenced by a certain level of awareness. And that is what I'm calling a knowing. So there are three timeless knowings that I want to share with you from this idea of skill is the foundation of all contracts. And the premise here is that if you're going to increase your income, if you're going to increase your impact for life, then you've got to master your skill. And there are 3 knowings that I'd love to share with you. Before we go too far, again, let's define a skill. What do I mean when I say a skill? Skill is the foundation of contracts, and we'll talk a lot about skill. So it's best that we just get it out of the way, what we mean by skill. Skill is an ability to do something. Skill is an ability to do something. It can be learned and you can perfect it, but it's that ability to do something well. Someone who is skillful brings a certain level of understanding, awareness, mastery in the execution of a certain thing to create an outcome. So skill is an ability to do something at the simplest level. And while we're talking about skill, I want us to appreciate that there are 4 levels of skill. There's the beginner level. You're just getting started. You don't know much about that field. You're just getting started. That's the beginner level. There's also average skill level. You're getting better, but you really have got a long way to master this area. The third one is where you've become a specialist. You've become a specialist. You've kind of blocked out the entire world and you've said, this is the one area that I'm going to focus on and I'm going to get good at. That is the third level. That is a specialist. And the fourth is an expert. The fourth is an expert. This is the height of mastery. This is when you are operating on unconscious competence. You're just so good. It's already wired in your memory. Your fingers have got that, memory of how do I operate on a human being? How do I hold the knife? You don't even think about it. If you put it that way, you don't pause to say, okay, so how do I do this? I mean, it's already wired within your DNA, within your psyche as a human being, and you just do the thing. There's mastery in the work that you are doing. That is the level that I want us to be talking about here today. And my desire for you is to move from the level that you are at to the level of expertise. I talked about in another session the idea of moving from mystery to mastery. Mystery to mastery. And my question for you who's joining me here today is, what level of skill are you at in your skill area? In that thing which you do well, what level of skill are you at? Are you a beginner? Are you average? Are you a specialist? Or are you an expert? Because the level that you operate from determines how much you earn. Now, your skill has value. That value determines its worth, and that worth determines your income. That's the premise here. Your skill has value. Your skill has value. That value determines its worth, and that worth determines your income. And that is why you find that globally, nothing is ever charged the same price. Everything is just this. It's the same product, but it's charged differently. Because there's a level of skill that has been applied. There's a level of expertise that has been deployed. And delivering that to you comes with a certain value. Comes with a certain value that demands that you pay for that value. Because that thing has appreciated in terms of its worth. And so your skill, which is the ability to do something, has value. And as you develop that skill, as you get better at it, the foundation of contract is skill. The level of skill that you have determines the value that you bring. And that value is what is enshrined inside the contract that says Benjamin is going to deliver X, Y, and Z value. And that value is worth X and Y. And we will pay him when he delivers that value. And I always talk about this idea of there's a market that is not looking for the lowest price. There are people who are not looking at your documents and asking, can you reduce the price? There's a market that's not even interested in your invoice. That number at the bottom of your invoice doesn't matter. There's a market that's not worried about how much salary you're asking for. There's such a space. They just want to know, can you do the thing? And can you do it at the level that we want you to do it? And if the answer is yes, oh, happy day. Do the thing, great impact, make a difference, transform lives. And on this other hand, handsome income for the things that you know how to do very well. So the idea here today is for you to appreciate that if you are going to enter into contracts with 6 digits, 7 digits, 8 digits, if you're going to enter into such contracts, then you've got to be at a level of mastery. You've got to be at a level of expert, because skill is the foundation of contracts. There's a skill beneath the surface, and the skill is there because you've gotten good, you've mastered a certain area, and you're bringing that skill, that value onto the table. And that is what I'm encouraging you to do, to master your skill, to get good, to know what is this thing that I have within me, and how do I translate that into value, and who in the marketplace needs that value and will not ask me to reduce my invoice and will not ask me what I'm charging for it. They will be ready and willing. Value is invited by greatness. And whenever you are in the marketplace transacting, if your value is at the level that demands the highest price point, demands the big number that you are asking for, people are willingly to exchange their money for your value, which is founded on your skill. What I've actually found very interesting is that when I went to buy this lip balm, whatever they were asking for, I was willing to part with it because I perceived that it was of a lesser value than what I was getting. I understood in that moment that it would be better for me to part with $3-4 and give it to them in exchange for this lip balm, because whatever this lip balm does for me on my lips when I apply it is of a greater value for me, and whatever I'm giving them is of a lower value. And that is what happens in the marketplace when you go to buy stuff, items, whatever it is that you're buying. Whenever you're living and giving away money, it's always from the understanding of the value that I'm getting from this thing is greater than the money and the value of the money that I have right now. And so when I say skill is the foundation of contracts, you understanding what is my value? What is my value? And who needs that value? And who else needs that value? Who else needs that value? We are operating right now in a marketplace where the global space is open for you to do business. If you think about the people who traveled out of the country back in the 70s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, there was just this massive exodus to other countries, more developed countries, to go and find opportunities, to kind of make a better life, to go and, further education and all that kind of stuff. And that was in that season. That was that season. That was that time. Good. It worked. Great. But right now we're living in a time where I don't need to go to the US to make my life better. I don't need to travel to Canada. I don't need to go to Asia. I don't need to leave my country. Whoever you are watching me here today, you don't need to leave your nation in order to earn your worth, in order to make your life better. Right now, you have the opportunity to work with anybody in the entire world just the way you're watching me right now. Value is being transacted. I want to believe that you're joining me here this morning, this afternoon, because there is a value that I'm delivering to you through this Reinvention Saturday session. There is an awareness, there is a wisdom, there is an aha that is coming for you as we engage. And that is value. And it's coming from my skill. My skill here being I am a communicator. My skill here being I am creative. My skill here being I'm a synthesizer. My skill here being I'm analytical. And so I'm understanding what my skills are, and then I'm saying, how does this translate into value? And while there's a shrinking local pie, people are saying, oh, my company has just closed down. Different industries, different organizations and businesses and companies, they've shut down. And if some have not shut down, they've cut their labor force by half, some of them by 3/4. And so many people are out here, they don't have a job. But the message for you here today is, while there's a shrinking local pie, there's an expanding global pie. Now, all of a sudden, the world's marketplace is open. There are people who are looking for what you have. There are people who are willing to pay top dollar for what you have, for what I have. And all I need to do is I need to really know what this skill I have is, how that translates into value, and how that value can earn me an income while creating an impact in the world. That is what I desire for you. And if you're there saying, this all sounds so great, Benjamin, and I thank you for bringing this to my awareness, but how do I understand what my skill is? How do I know what my value is? How do I understand what my skill is? There's a show, and I'm making it available, the 7-day challenge. I'm giving it to you for free. And I want you to take the 7-day challenge, because it's going to unpack for you the 3 main aspects of thriving in the marketplace in these times we're living in, and also into the future. It's a handbook and a tool that will guide you and give you the skills to navigate the future that we are in, because it unpacks for you your identity, your assignment, and your impact. For 7 days, each day I give you 7 minutes of a teaching that comes with a workbook. And in that moment, you're able to really ask these questions and understand, how do I define my skill? How do I understand what it is that I'm good at? And here's what I'm promising you. Once you take the 7-day challenge, I will create a separate 90-minute group session with you and help you unpack and define what your skill is. What your skill is. I am living proof of this message, because when I started, I was at the mercy of the employer. I was at the mercy of the system. I was at the mercy of the person who needed what I have. I didn't know how good it was, and I was not confident to position it in the marketplace for the highest return on income. So head out to kamoya.com right now, kamoya.com, and right when you land on my page, click take the 7-day challenge. Just 7 minutes. Reflect on this. It will serve you. You'll be glad you started. Let's get into knowing number 2. Knowing number 2. Accumulation of a fortune requires power. The accumulation of a fortune requires power. These are the words of Napoleon Hill, the author of the book Think and Grow Rich. After interviewing 500 of the most wealthy men of his time, he came to this one conclusion, that the accumulation of a fortune requires power. And what is power? He goes on to unpack in the book that power is highly organized, intelligently directed, specialized knowledge. Now, if you thought we were going to run away from this idea of skill, you're wrong. Because in this definition, power is highly organized. Thank you. It's intelligently directed. Thank you. What? Specialized knowledge. This speaks to mastery. This speaks to you're really good at what you do, and the accumulation of a fortune requires that ability to take that specialized knowledge, direct it intelligently, organize it highly, and deliver it to the person who wants it. We're living in a time like no other. Oh my goodness. We're living at a time like no other. And if you haven't smelt the revolution that is happening in the marketplace, and it's just blowing up even more, it's the gig economy. What that means is that I do not necessarily need to be employed anywhere. I don't need to be employed anywhere. I don't need to be employed anywhere. What I need is to get good, have my goods and my products, and identify a market that is ready and willing to get that product or service from me because of the skill that I have brought into it, and pay me for it. And so the accumulation of a fortune, as Napoleon Hill says, requires power. And how do you get power? Power is highly organized, intelligently directed, specialized knowledge. But you have to get the knowledge. And he goes on to say that the good thing in this world, and he unpacks and unfolds it for everybody, is that you do not need to be the person who has got specialized knowledge. Now, that opens another pathway that we're not going to talk about, because that is the entrepreneur's advantage. That I must not know everything, but I can partner with those people who know the thing, who are experts, who've got the specialized knowledge, all right, so that then I can accumulate a fortune. You have seen that hospitals employ specialized knowledge. The surgeons, the different experts, oncologists, gynecologists, eye experts, ENT experts, all those people are in one building. A hospital outsources all this specialized knowledge. It's highly organized, and it's intelligently directed. And the people who own these big institutions, they have accumulated a fortune because they've known where to find the specialized knowledge. And that's where you and I come in. It's not my purpose to open a hospital. It's not my purpose to open a school. I want to raise leaders and impact lives. And the way to get that is to become the expert, is to be the point of contact. For most people who are doctors, maybe, they probably don't even have in their vision or purpose to open a hospital. They don't want to do that. They just want to become really good surgeons. They just want to become really good physiotherapists. They really want to become good at what they do. They want to become great pediatricians. That's all they want. That's their specialized knowledge. And because of that specialized knowledge, they are outsourced globally and paid for their intelligence. What are we talking about for those of you who've just come in? Skill is the foundation of contracts. That's knowing number one. These are timeless knowings that will bring you impact and income for life. The first knowing is that skill is the foundation of contracts. Get good at what you do. You're going to command whatever the fees you want in the market. I am living proof of that message. I started out in an employment scenario, being paid out of a petty cash voucher, being paid $30 for an entire month. $30 for an entire month. But the moment I began to understand this concept, I've gotten to the place where I've charged $1,000 for an hour, $2,000 for an hour, $4,000 for a day. And I don't say this to impress you or to brag, but to impress upon you that this is a principle. And principles do not respect anyone. They will deliver if you only do what the principle prescribes. It is lawful that this will come to happen for you. But what you need to do is do the work of understanding, what is my skill? What is my skill? What is my skill? And if you're wondering and struggling with that question, I've got you. I've got you. Go to kamoya.com right now. Click on kamoya.com. There's a link right there when you land on the page. There's no other button, matter of fact. All the buttons will take you to the 7-day challenge. I am so committed to helping you. I really want to see you succeed. But you've got to click the button. You've got to start the journey. You've got to take the questions that I'm asking you every day for 7 minutes only. 7 minutes only is all I'm asking of you, and then take the time to do the work. And at the end, I'm going to meet with you for 90 minutes and help you answer the question, who am I? That's identity. Why am I here on earth? That is assignment. And then impact. How do I create impact and income in my life? And this is the reinvention conversation. Let's get to the third knowing. Let's get to the third knowing as we land here. The third knowing is that function precedes design. And this knowing takes us to the whole question of assignment. Why am I on earth? Why am I on earth? And I'll tell that to you because when I began in my entrepreneurship journey, my career journey, I discovered that there are many things that I could do well. I discovered that I was very good at communicating and talking to people and selling things. And so because I was in the pursuit of money, I became a very good salesman. I sold suits, I sold cement, I sold land, I sold vehicles. I mean, if there was something that I could broker with integrity, I did it. I did it. If I just knew he needs that, she has this, and I would find a way to connect both of them and make some money in the middle, I did it. I was capitalizing on my gifts. I was capitalizing on my gifts. And as I continued down that path, I began to realize, wait a minute. This is really not what I want to do with my life. Although I'm doing it right now and it's really serving me and it's paying for my school fees and it's getting the money that I need and I'm beginning to kind of get my footing in life, this is not what I want to do. I don't think this is my purpose. And when I began to ask the question of purpose, it took me back to what we're talking about today, which is skill. Skill is the foundation of contracts. And skill was put within you by God the Creator even before you landed on this earth. And that's why knowing number 3, that my function preceded my design, begins to help you answer the purpose question. It helps you answer the meaning question of why am I here? Why am I here? What is this assignment? What is this reason for me being here? Because friends, I will tell you, I don't know about you, but it's my firm belief that there's a time when you will go back wherever you came from. And for me, I believe that is back to the Creator. And I will have an opportunity to stand before Him and say, hey, I had a season and a time, and these are the things that I did with my time while I was there. There's going to be an opportunity to give an account. And that account requires that when that moment comes, I know, like myself, you want to stand there tall and proud and happy to really give an account and say, this is what I understood as my life's work, and I deployed myself into it fully. But in fact, if you give me a few minutes, I want to go back and kind of complete what I had started. If you want to make a case when the Grim Reaper comes for you and says, your time is up, what case would you make with the Grim Reaper? And so the knowing number 3 is that function precedes design. Function precedes design. Function, what I'm supposed to do, precedes design, how I was made. Function precedes design. What I'm supposed to do came before the way I was made. So there was understanding, there was a knowing that I need a person to do this. And therefore, I'm going to design them like this to do it. If we as men are so intelligent that we do not create something and then ask, what is the purpose of this thing we created? How much more the Creator of the universe? How much the Creator of the world? How much more God? Would He create you and say, I don't know what we need to do with Susan or James. Would you guys have some ideas for James? What do you think he should do? You know, he's just been born, and I think I'm completely clueless as to who he should be. It's impossible. It's unheard of. And I like this idea that you are a concept. You are a concept in the mind of God before you were conceived in your mother's womb. Before conception happened, you were a concept. And so I really frown at this idea when people say, I'm finding my purpose. You're finding it. Is it lost? Is it lost? How can you find something that is not lost? I would rather maybe you say, let me discover it, because it's already within you. It's already within you. But if you find most people who are saying, I'm finding my purpose, they do everything to go without. And yet the purpose does not exist without. It exists within. And that's again an answer that you're going to find in the 7-day challenge. Go to kamoye.com, click on the 7-day challenge, take it, start today, and I'm going to get on a call with you for 90 minutes just to take down the rabbit hole with that idea. Function precedes design. That you were a concept before conception is always mind-boggling for me. It assures me that I just need to go within and find what is it that I have been gifted with. What is it that I have been gifted with? What is it that has been deposited within me? And how do I bring it out into the world? How do I bring it out into the world? Function precedes design. You're not going out into the world asking, who am I? But you're going into your world within you to discover, to understand who you are. Because when you discover that, then you know the value that you bring into the world. Skill is the foundation of all contracts. That's the focus of our time in our conversation today. But we've talked about 3 knowings, and the first one is that function precedes design. And so I want to go back and really ask, what is the design? What is the design? What am I good at? I remember when I asked this question, and I shared with you just a few minutes ago that in the pursuit of money, I kind of did everything with integrity. I did everything that I knew that I could get money. And in that process, I spread myself so wide, and I was in so many places I was not catching up. There was so many things that I needed to do, and I was never catching up. And so one night, I came back home, and I put a manila paper up on the wall, and I took a pen, a felt pen, and I began to write everything. I began to write everything that I had ever done and succeeded at in my life. Everything that I'd ever done and I had won, I wrote it down. From playing drums to editing and to taking videos and to being a DJ and to doing sales and to training and speaking and coaching and communicating and doing presentations. Anything up until that point in my life that I had ever done and I was good for it and I was paid for it and I was praised for it, I wrote it down. I was trying to understand my design. And I found that to be a very, very reliable assignment. A very, very reliable assignment for you to do. Take time, go into your CV and begin to mine out every single thing that you have ever done. And some never make it onto the CV, but they are in the archives of your memory. Bring them out and say, what did I do well here? What did I do well? What did I do? Understand design. Your design, understand your makeup. How did I win? Where did I win? What did I do well? How did that go? Everything that you ever done well in your life, become a student of that. Master what it is that made you excel. Because right there is where you'll find your skill. That's where you'll find your skill. That's where you'll find what you're good at. That's where you'll find your genius. That's where you'll find how you're made up. That's where you'll find the thing that makes the world come around you, that makes the world gravitate towards you, that makes people seek value from you. Now, from there, say, oh, I might have been doing this, but I was at the beginner level. I was just playing around with it, and I never took it seriously because, hey, this is just something I was born knowing how to do. Take it. Develop it. Develop it. Move from the beginner. More go beyond average. Become a specialist in it. Become an expert in that area. And then begin to position it out into the world. Not only will you be having impact, but you'll also be having income. And that is what I desire for you. To master that brilliance, that genius. To manifest it into the world for impact, for transformation, to change lives, and to monetize it for income and for yourself. I would love to begin this journey with you. If all this sounds amazing for you, don't worry. I've got you. 7-day challenge is what I want you to do. Take the 7-day challenge. Head out to kamoye.com right now. KAMOYE.com. And once you get there, take the 7-day challenge. You get a video every day. That's just 7 minutes long. Just 7 minutes long. You can take that time. Yep. 7 minutes only. And once you go through that, there's a worksheet for you to download. Fill it out. And I'll see you at the end of the 7-day challenge to work with you more closely to master manifest, and monetize your brilliance. I'll see you again next Saturday. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Blessings, be well, and bye for now.